Или мы проигрываем на Украине, или начинается Третья мировая. Лично я считаю более реалистичным путь Третьей мировой. Ну, потому что, зная нас, зная нашего руководителя Путина Владимира Владимировича, вот самое невероятное, что в конце концов все это закончится ядерным ударом, мне представляется все же более вероятным, чем вот такое развитие событий. К ужасу моему, с одной стороны, с другой стороны, к пониманию, что, ну что, значит так. Знаешь, меня...
Но мы-то в рай.
Да, меня...
Они просто...
So that is one of these ongoing commentaries of the Russian invasion of Ukraine that we've been able to witness going on in Russian state TV. And there you have mostly commentary by Margarita Simonyan, editor of RT, saying that, knowing Putin, maybe we win, maybe we lose, maybe World War III. That seems more likely, nuclear apocalypse. But she did acknowledge, on the one hand, that's horrible. On the other hand, we could go to heaven and they'd all croak. So Anna, that's an exciting take on what might happen. Totally needless war, never needed to start, and they could pull out literally anytime they want. But maybe it leads to the annihilation of all human life. What's the worst that could happen? We get to meet God.
Right. I mean, look, all we can really do is speculate about what the real intent is here, right? Are they bluffing? Is this part of the campaign to essentially persuade Western powers to avoid really getting involved in a direct conflict with Russia? I think that's definitely part of the equation. But the other part of the equation really makes me question so many political theories that I think you also learned about when we were in grad school for poli-sci, which is the rational actor theory.
Sure.
And I mean, I think what we've seen from Vladimir Putin is a lot of irrational action. Certainly with the decision to invade Ukraine, the inability to garner accurate intel from his own intelligence community, always wanting to hear what he wants to hear and how that has led to all sorts of irrational actions. And so I don't know what to make of this. I mean, obviously there's a part of me that wants to panic because we've seen Putin carry out things that genuinely I didn't think he would carry out. Because again, they're irrational for his own purposes. But at this point, I don't know what to make of that. I don't want to panic, but at the same time, would they use a nuclear weapon? I mean, it's not like there hasn't ever been the use of nuclear weapons in the past. Of course, the United States has used nuclear weapons, so it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, I don't want to freak out either. But maybe just for a moment. Yeah, no, it is scary. We should be scared at the prospect of literally everyone on the planet dying. It is always weird when people in politics and media don't think that that's a big deal. When Ted Cruz back in 2016 joked about nuking the Middle East, just carpet bombing entire regions of the world. All of this is crazy talk, and no one should be given an ounce of power who believes these things. Now, there is some real world stuff potentially underlying some of these conversations going on in Russian state media. The conversation you just saw and one that we played earlier this week comes after Russia successfully test launched its latest nuclear missile, the Sarmat-2, the Satan II. Anyway, it can strike anywhere on Earth, and Putin at least says that it can't be stopped by any current missile defenses. But he also thought that he'd take over Ukraine in 2 or 3 days, so who knows what's true. Anyway, he warned just yesterday that if any other country intervenes in Ukraine, Russia will spawn with, quote, instruments nobody else can boast of, and we will use them if we have to. And he has been repeatedly from the beginning, occasionally referencing nuclear weapons, using the N word, as Donald Trump says. Now, this could be a strategy, of course, Anna. It could be that the only thing they can realistically do to stop the flow of aid in money, weapons, material, stuff like that, is to make people terrified that it could result in nuclear annihilation. So he makes his comments and he has 100% control over literally everything every person in that video says or does at pain of death. So it could just be a coordinated strategy to try to scare us, but it is also objectively scary, so we have to balance those things.
You're exactly right. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about this whole situation. I do think that this is, all the nuclear weapons talk serves as a deterrent. And to be fair, there are certain things that the US government has refused to do because of the fact that Russia has nuclear weapons. So these nuclear weapons do in fact serve as a deterrent. But what I've been very curious about is how does the United States determine how far they can go before Russia considers the United States engaging in a direct conflict with, its government? And it's
Great
just
question.
interesting. Because I mean, look, there's a story out today indicating that President Joe Biden is going to solicit $30 billion for Ukrainian aid from Congress. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about that. Of course, I feel terrible for the people of Ukraine, but I just see how easily the government just, shells out the cash for a different country that's dealing with an invasion. And, got a lot of people in this country that are suffering and struggling. So I just want to draw a little bit of attention to that. But how does Vladimir Putin see all of this weaponry flow into Ukraine from the United States defense industry and think like, oh no, they haven't crossed the line yet. They're not engaging in this war. Of course we are. It's not the same as implementing a no-fly zone, which would mean that we would be in a direct military conflict. But we're offering a lot of assistance to Ukraine. And I think the rhetoric that we're seeing from Russian state TV is meant to deter that behavior from continuing.
Yeah, look, we've all had to try to learn where those lines are drawn as we watch this conflict unfold over 2 months now at this point. For me, I would have guessed that literally sending over hundreds of armored vehicles, that seems like you're pretty involved, but I guess that doesn't cross the line. I don't know. Not even training them on the weapons, but outside of Ukraine. So if you take them over a national border, which is just imaginary, and you train them, that's not involved. If we send in the US troops to Ukraine to train them, that is involved. It's a weird thing. And so I think they're all trying to figure it out because look, as much as Russian state media is being paid to convince you like, Putin's a crazy guy, you don't know what he could do. He can nuke you all like in a minute. Putin also probably doesn't want to be killed in a nuclear strike, a retaliatory strike that would instantly come if they did that. So we do have to bear that in mind. That said, it is difficult to predict what he's going to do because he has made some really stupid self-destructive moves as of late. So bear all that in mind. Really fast though, I want to give you an idea of, we play occasional clips like we did today. There's a lot of other commentary going on. So on The Evening with Vladimir Solovyov, which I catch every evening, he lamented the West's refusal to heed the Kremlin's current warning, saying if they decide to support Ukraine, even though Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov told them this could lead to World War III, nothing will stop them. They've decided to play it big. These are the bastards with no morals. Well, it's easy to throw stones, but your soldiers are executing, prisoners. So, there's some immorality going on all sides. They talked about striking the UK, so destroy the centers where they're loading the arms so they can't be sent. That's pretty direct. That wasn't enough for the deputy dean of world politics at Moscow State University, who said, well, if we're gonna strike the West, then we need to strike Washington. We need to bomb Washington to stop them from sending these weapons. And during this, I guess, I don't know, to get the viewers hot or whatever, they just showed constant close-up photographs of dead Ukrainian servicemen. Because if you show enough photos of dead Ukrainian servicemen, then you can perhaps confuse people in Russia so that they don't realize that you've already lost over 15,000 soldiers. So I guess that's the strategy, Anna.
Right, I mean, showing the dead Ukrainians is meant to deceive the public into thinking that the war is going really, really well for Russia and that Vladimir Putin isn't an incredibly incompetent authoritarian leader who has done all sorts of things that have not worked out the way he planned. I mean, he genuinely thought that they would invade Ukraine and the war would be over within a few days, that Vladimir Zelensky would just hand over the country to Vladimir Putin. It didn't play out that way. But the problem is the people of Russia aren't getting that information. There are some people who are smart enough to, let's say, download a VPN to access information that's been blocked by the Russian state. But for the most part, the public has been deceived into thinking that this was a worthy war, that Russia is not the aggressor here, that Ukrainians are the aggressors. It's pretty incredible how effective this propaganda campaign has been.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of control.